Hey everybody, this is your co-host Josh here from the FilmBros podcast. Just to let you know that again, sorry for the technical difficulties. We are trying to fix everything, but we still want to push out our product because we do have good conversations. And while it may be a little hard to hear, you can still kind of understand everything. We are still doing our best. Just please bear with us. Enjoy the podcast, and I will talk to you guys later.
What up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Film Bros podcast. I'm your host, JP. This is my co-host, Josh.
What's up, everyone?
And we back to bring you guys another review. Now, the movie that we're about to review, we talked about it on a previous pod. So if you guys want to go and hear that one before we dive right into what movie we're going to be reviewing, Josh, you want to go ahead and let them know where they can find us?
If you want to hit us up at any time, Twitter and TikTok at FilmBros Podcast. We post clips and let you know when new episodes are out. If you want to listen to old episodes, or if you want to listen to episodes while you're doing everything you do during the day, but don't have the time to sit for a YouTube video, at FilmBros Podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We're on there too, so big deal. If you want to listen to our episodes and help us out in a big way by not just being able to listen to older episodes, but support us in a way that means, something, I guess. You can go to Zippy Stream. All it takes is an email and your name. You get updates on when we post, and if you want, you can hit us up anytime for any news or reviews you want us to cover. And if you have time to listen to sit down and watch us on YouTube at FilmBros Podcast, go ahead and do all that.
Of course. With that being said, before we jump right into the review and what we're going to be reviewing, let's go ahead and hear a word from our sponsor. Today's episode is sponsored by Zippy Stream. If you are wondering how we make money to run our podcast, it's all because of this innovative platform. Here at Film Bros Podcast, we absolutely love using Zippy Stream. It's the easiest way to convert listeners into an email list, but best of all, they find us sponsorship so we can keep making money doing what we love.
Suppose you're also a podcaster thinking about starting one. Zippy Stream will help you find and manage a relationship with brands that are relevant to your audience. If you want to learn more, contact us as soon as possible. Everyone that signs up this month will get to claim £10 as a joining bonus, which is around $12 or something like that.
Just reach out to us by email or social media DMs, and I'll put you in touch with the guys at Zippy Stream right away. Now back to the pod. And yeah, so our sponsor is Zippy Stream. And as my co-host said, all it takes is an email and a name. Gives you access to our full catalog and just supports us in a big way. With that being said, let's go ahead and dive right into this episode. So on the other episode we talked about, and it's one of our news ones, it wasn't even a review, we talked about Channing Tatum wanting to make a remake, actually, not a review, a remake of I believe the 1990s Ghost. And I thought it'd be cool if we went ahead and reviewed that and then just gave our opinions on a remake, who we think. So it'll be kind of like a little two-parter. You guys are going to get a 2-for-1 special today. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into reviewing Ghost.
What's the matter?
Seems like whenever anything good in my life happens, I'm just afraid I'm going to lose it.
I really love you.
So, like I said, Ghost is an older movie. It's a 1990s movie. So if you haven't seen it yet, this will be a spoiler review. But let's be real. This movie came out over 20 years ago. So if you guys haven't seen it, I don't know where you've been living, but it's time to get up out from under that rock and go ahead and go check this movie out. Ghost, for a 1990s movie, it had a 75% on Rotten Tomatoes and an 80% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. So it has good ratings. IMDb also gives it a 7.1 out of 10. It was directed by Jerry Zucker. I try to see if he makes a lot more movies, but he's more of a producer in a lot of movies. He produced a lot of well-known movies, but
Yeah.
it's just a bunch of producer notes that if you guys want to know what other movies he's produced, it's on IMDb. We have Patrick Swayze. He came out in Red Dawn, Dirty Dancing. We have Demi Moore. She came out in Austin Powers. The remake, The Day the Earth Stood Still, G.I. Jane, About Last Night. And we got Whoopi Goldberg, who came out in all three Sister Acts movies. Rat Race, Lion King, and the list goes on. I think she has her own show right now. I know she's in a little bit of hot water for what happened recently, but Whoopi Goldberg, when she was at her peak, in my opinion. So this movie, for me at least, is, in my opinion, a classic. I think this movie's great. I love the chemistry between Demi and Patrick Swayze, which in their names is Sam and Molly. I like when it's romantic, it's romantic. When it's scary, it's scary. I really felt that blend between comedy, horror, a little bit of mystery in the movie. If you haven't seen it before, then there is kind of like a plot twist first time watching it, and it's actually, it plays really well. I like it, but that's just my initial thoughts on the movie. What's yours?
I really liked it too. I wasn't expecting to hate it, but I mean, I liked it more than I thought I would. I told you I'm a big sucker for like romance films like this, so it does really hit the spot. You know, I almost cried.
Almost.
It's really good. It is funny. It can be, romantic and things like that. The big parts were the scenes where you got that sense of like, not scared, but like thriller, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
'Cause it was, man. Every time those scenes happen, I was like, "What, God?" For a movie that's supposed to be so cheerful and happy and like full of love, that shit gets dark.
Well, I never thought it was a cheerful and happy movie, to be honest. I thought it was a dark movie all the way around. I think it started cheerful and happy. I think their relationship showed that. But I think once it took that dark turn is when it got dark, in my opinion. Once Sam passed away, I really feel like this whole movie took a turn. Like, actually watching it to analyze it, it was crazy that in the beginning, the trio were together. They were having a blast. They were, making a life together, doing all these things. And then right when basically just not even things were going to go right for them. It was just a random like Tuesday that all of a sudden Sam dies. Yeah. And it's like devastating. Not only like nobody knows why it happened. They just thought it was a random mugging, and it turns to be more. But in my opinion, I think that as a movie, it was happy in the first 15 minutes, but after that, I think it just turns dark, and then they sprinkle in that romance to basically pull you out of the dark. And I think for me, that's how the movie kind of went, where it's like you were happy, you had all the great emotions. It dropped because of what happened with Sam. And then it went ahead and just was dark the whole way. And then to kind of like bring your spirits up and make you feel better, they went ahead and sprinkled in those little romance pieces between the love interests, which was Sam and Molly.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a romance movie. I mean, you can't have a romance movie without romance. As for scenes, it wasn't all dark. It wasn't all a scary turn. Like there were funny scenes, like the scenes with Whoopi Goldberg, and
yeah, there was comedy in there too.
I'm just saying, big spoiler because I can't keep tiptoeing around it. But the scenes where like the demons or whatever they were, the shadows were taking away the two that that died.
Yeah,
that shit was dark.
Well, I'm gonna let you know right now. You don't have to say spoiler. Everybody knows. If you guys don't know, it's a spoiler review. We're not gonna say spoiler no more. That's did it. But those scenes, they were scary. Those scenes were actually, but I feel like those scenes tilted into horror. I feel like the movie was more of a thriller once he passed away, and then they sprinkled that element of romance when it needed to be, comedy when it needed to be, and then that horror effect. And that horror effect was when they died. Like, they didn't hold back anything. You know how like a lot of older movies, like when somebody died, what they do usually is they'll kill them off screen. You know what I mean? They'll shoot them, but they'll never show you the bullet hole.
Yeah.
And in this one, like, when they died, and you've seen exactly when they died. I think it was the one where the robber, when he dies, the first time I seen it, I thought motherfucker flew. I was like, how are 2 cars gonna pin him, but then his body gonna fly out like that? You know what I mean? I thought it really confused me. But after like he gets up and everything and he sees his body there, I was just like, God damn. Like, the first time seeing it, I was like, God, like, whoa, how did they just pull that off completely? It was beyond me. But I think one thing that needs to be discussed, at least in this review, is the CGI for the movie. And though it is a 1990s movie, I honestly thought a good chunks of the CGI were actually pretty good. There was a couple. I think it was the one where he was going through the door, and then I think I made fun of it during the movie, but the one when he slides the penny up on the door, I was like, what he do? Just kind of like trick shotted it up the wall. And I think it was the scene where the light was shining when he was in the I believe in after he passed away, before, when he had to make that choice whether he was going to leave or stay for a little bit. I think that CGI was a little bit wonky. You can kind of see the split with the green screen and stuff. But for the most part, I think the rest of the CGI was actually pretty solid, and I didn't really have a big issue with it.
Yeah, no, it does look like it holds up. You know, not most 90s movies or 80s movies can say the same, you know. But this one, it does good with what it has. Sure, some of it will look wonky because, you know, the times, but it also does look kind of good in some of in some of the aspects of the film. I thought it was weird seeing him for the first time, sort of face through the door when he first learned to do that. That was pretty much it. And then I think the scene where he gets his head pretty much pushed out in the train or whatever the first time, that looked a little weird, but most of it, I mean, everything else to me kind of like, you know, pretty solid.
Yeah, I think they did a good job. I thought it was pretty particularly crazy when they when he was going through the door and his skin would change and like he would turn all blue kind of thing. I thought that was pretty cool. I don't think there's so much that I could say is wrong with this movie. I think what I can say is that I wish we could have explored the ghost side of things a little bit more, because I think they were very vague with how they handled the ghost thing. Like when the first dude, when he put his face into the, you know, into his dead body, the gurney. You remember the old man that when he was in the hospital? He put his face into the gurney, and I was like, okay, you know, shouldn't the cover be like right here on his body? And he shot on his chest, so if he went inside, don't you think he would have seen like his insides? So I was like, okay, that's fine. I kind of let it go. But then next thing you know, they show when he passes through somebody, he sees what's inside of them. You know what I mean? And then same thing with the door. So I was like, how did that old man in the hospital, was he able to know when he just shoved his face into Homeboy's face what it looked like in the movie? You know what I mean? I think another thing too that I wish they would have dived deeper on is why they lose their ability when they jump into somebody's body. You know what I mean? That was one thing too, because at towards the end of the movie, he does it and he loses it. He's a little bit weakened, but after a while, he's just up and at him and ready to go again. You know what I mean? And he still had the power to like swing his fists and do all this stuff before he falls. But the dude earlier in the movie, when he did it to Otome, he was on his ass like immediately. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like it was kind of, to me, ghost inconsistency, or at least with the way they were handling it throughout the movie. But I mean, maybe I missed something that you didn't. What do you think?
Well, I thought that was a little weird. I noticed it too, but I mean, I was kind of just like whatever about it from before. It was like you know, just small things here and there that you could think about if you're really paying attention to it. Like, I didn't even think about the scene when he put his face in, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then, but I get what you mean about exploring the ghost side, because what makes them stay? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is it well, in Patrick Swayze's case, in his character's case, it was love and whatnot and trying to protect.
Unfinished business,
yeah.
basically, yeah.
Yeah, but, like, does that, like, when you no longer have business or you don't have business at all, you just go? Like the dude that they saw on the table, and his soul immediately gets caught up or whatever.
Exactly.
So he just goes. He doesn't have a choice to be like, wait, I have other unfinished business.
Yeah.
Or like that old guy you said, he was there for his wife.
Yeah.
Clearly the dude on the train was too angry to go or whatever.
Mm-hmm. But that all leads down to, did they have unfinished business? And in my head, when, you know, because in my opinion, Sam refused the first time. What if at the end of the movie, he just refused to have walked up in there? You know what I mean? I just feel like I just feel like there was some inconsistencies. That's the ghost part. And I think that they could have dived into it just a little bit deeper. But how long is this movie? 2 hours already. They could have probably filled in maybe, I would say, like maybe 10 more minutes of just trying to explain how the ghost thing works. And I think that it would have probably aligned it a little bit better.
Maybe, but then, you know, then you lose out on, like, romance scenes. Like, imagine the scene where he jumps in Odame or whatever. That's right, I heard a character's name, Odame. Mm-hmm. And, like, they have that little scene where they're dancing and stuff. Like, I couldn't imagine that being cut short, you know?
Yeah, that too. And to be honest, that was kind of a little weird for me too, because I was like, isn't that just Odame? Isn't that just her? But she's just imagining that it's him.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, cocoa butter. I said, Sam, you never used to wear cocoa butter. But yeah, I thought that was I think you're right. But that's what I'm saying. If they would have added 5 minutes, not subtract, not edit, not take away, but if they would have added like 5 more minutes of maybe him training with that ghost in the subway to kind of show him, and maybe him tell him a little bit, you know, oh, I've been here for a while. I've noticed that certain things happen. You know, some people leave fast, and that's because they're ready to go. Mm-hmm. Some people, you know, everybody has a choice. Or they could have explained, because I think in the you remember in the beginning when he had like those little after he got shot, he had like those little memories, like he woke up screaming, and then all that. Like, does that basically help you transition into going? And if you basically know, like, no, this is fake kind of thing, and you look away, and like, kind of like he looked the other way, does that mean that he, you know, he broke from that spell and was able to just, you know, do his own thing? You know what I mean? Like, if they would have just dove a little bit more deeper, I feel like these questions could have been answered. I get
what you mean. And it also it goes a little further when you think about all the souls that Odame was seeing all at once, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, they just chose to stay, or you can choose to stay. It's a little weird, but with Patrick Swayze's case, you know, all he really cared for was his girlfriend or fiance, whatever she was to him. Mm-hmm. And, like, eventually it was just to keep her safe and stuff, and then it was time for him to go. He wasn't staying there for any other reason but her, so. Yeah,
and I get that. And honestly, like I said, this movie's a masterclass. I think it does really well, and I think that the ending really just nails it in for me, because when I was watching it too, I kind of just sat there and I was looking at it. I was like, man, would I have the guts to walk away? You know what I mean? Like, would I have the guts to go through all this and, you know, just look into heaven's light and just walk in there? You know, would you be able to leave the person you love and just go, kind of thing? Like, I honestly, that ending, and I know it said that it almost made you cry, bro. I was teary-eyed. That thing was so sad. And I don't know how many times I've seen this movie, but every single time I watch it, like, it hits every single time, and I feel like it hits home for sure.
Yeah. There's only a few movies like that where I feel like romance movies where I feel like it does hit me a couple times, like this one or Her with Joaquin Phoenix. Like, it's a lot of that emotional stuff. It really does kind of get you to pull at your heartstrings. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And like, it can be done really well or it can be done cheesy. You know what I mean? And like this one's good, and like I said, her is good, and then like this is just for the ones I've seen. I've never seen any other ones like The Notebook or whatever. You know?
Yeah.
Like it's this one just does it really well, and it doesn't just balance the whole romance thing well. It balances a little bit of comedy here, and then the bigger questions of like what's heaven like and whatnot.
Yeah, what happens after you pass, all those things. Like, yeah, I think it struggles. Not struggles. It juggles a lot in this movie, and I think the way that they presented it was probably the best way to sprinkle everything that they did. Like I said, the tonal shifts and, just like those little extra things that kind of makes everything just feel a little bit more real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought it was great. It's a great movie. I think they really found a gold mine with this one, and honestly, I don't think I have a lot of bad to say about this movie.
Yeah, no, it's weird because I mean, there's not much other than what we said. Like we wish they could go in depth. Some of the CGI does look dated, but like
I mean, it's a 1990s movie, so
well, yeah, that's why. And everything else looks like solid to me. Everything from like story, it makes sense. Characters are good. No actor really looks or feels bad in this movie. And everyone just does their thing, and it all comes together great, honestly.
Well, one person I want to talk about, though, real quick, is the friend. Let me see what his name was. The friend's name. Oh, Carl. Tony Goldwyn. Carl, bro. They did a good job making you hate that motherfucker. Because you hate that man throughout the whole movie. Like, and let me ask you, because this is the first time you've seen it, and I've seen it a lot, so I can't really like remember the first time I like seen this twist at like 100%. But when you found out that it was him, did that twist hit you pretty hard, or how did you feel when that twist happened?
Oh yeah, that hit a lot actually, because I was like, because you usually in movies like this you kind of expect the friend, but like this one made you really feel like, nah, that's his homie. You know what I mean? And then it's not till we find out later on that he set him up. And it's crazy because all for money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it really threw me off, threw me for a loop, because I was like, damn, it really be your homies. And the fact that he was trying to not just, he didn't just murder him, quote unquote, murder him or whatever. But he also tried to get with her, you know what I mean, to try and make her feel better or whatever else, whatever his plan was with her. And then he tried to kill Whoopi Goldberg's character as well. So like, he's clearly a piece of shit.
I think and I didn't notice this, honestly. Maybe it's because I was younger or whatever. Maybe I'm starting to notice a lot more or whatever. But when I was rewatching it and the whole money laundering thing, right? Like, I knew he was in charge. Sam was in charge of the bank, but I thought he needed to get rid of him because of the fact that he was trying to get the money out and all that stuff. But I thought he was just trying to get rid of him because he could never get alone time with the computer. I didn't realize when he was going through and he was like, oh yeah, like all this money's just coming up out of nowhere. Like, I don't know what to do with it or whatever. Like, I'm going to be working with it. And he was like, oh, I can take that off your hands for you, or I could do it for you, whatever. Like, he was like, now that I've seen it again and actually was able to pay attention a little bit better, I was like, oh, okay. So they sowed those seeds since the beginning. You know what I mean? Like, he was trying to get in that computer and get what he needed since the jump. And
yeah, he was actively trying to. He was actively trying to get, the money and stuff, and it was just Sam who was in his way. And like, I'm sure it was because he was his boss, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, so like, he was just in his way of getting it done, and so maybe killing him wasn't part of the plan or whatever, but him fighting back was ultimately his downfall and stuff.
Yeah, because at one point he did tell him, like, you weren't supposed to kill him. Like, you were just supposed to steal his wallet.
Yeah.
And the dude was like, well, I did you a favor. He was a real asshole. And I was like, well, shit, you didn't even know. Like, you were trying to steal his wallet. You want him to be nice? Yeah, like, what the fuck? So, that was really crazy. But besides that, do you have any other critiques, any other praises that you want to give it. If not, let's jump right into the point scale that you want to put it at, and then we gotta move forward to our next subject, which is the remake.
I loved the score. Everything in the score in this movie was really great. The way it changed, like the way it changed and stuff from, well, when they were like, when they were happy and then he dies and it's sad, but just the moments when there was no music at all and you could really feel the tension and love between Patrick Swayze's character and his girlfriend. I keep forgetting her name.
I love the scene, and it always makes me want to cry. Is when it was right when it's actually that Oda Mae Brown one that I was telling you about, where it's just basically her, but like when you just see her face and like it's quiet, right, and like you don't hear anything until he touches her face, and when he touches her face, that's when like music starts playing. Makes me want to tear up right now thinking about it. But like like that scene was beautiful to me. I was like, damn, like they just really like built that up and just like it just makes you. I feel like it just makes you wonder, right? Like it just makes you wonder so hard, like what is after? You know what I mean? Like it does give you those questions, and I think this movie does a good job of, when you're done watching it, you just ask those questions, like, oh, like how is he able to do it, and you know what I mean, stuff like that. So.
But yeah, other than that, that's my final praise. Just the score, everything really works, and then like I said, it really has those moments where it's just you get to feel the raw emotion, and then even thinking back to the scenes where the shadows dragged away the murderer or whatever, the guy. I don't think you hear music there. You just hear the screams of the damned or whatever.
Yep.
I'm assuming that's who they're supposed to be. That should scare the fuck out of me. But like, you don't really hear the music. You just hear him, and you really take in the fact that, like, damn, there is an afterlife, just because there is also a heaven or whatnot. Yeah, it's dark as shit.
Yeah, that's scary. Yeah, when I was a kid, when I first heard it, was fucking scary. Like that thing, like when it starts, I'm like, god damn. But with that, anything else?
Nope.
No. Well, rating wise, I gotta give this movie an 8. It was a great movie. Romance was perfect. The chemistry between Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore, I don't feel like that could ever be topped. But I do think that the ghost side was suppressed in order to push the romance forward. And though I do love the romance part and it's the better part of the story, I wish they would have, showed some work on this side as well, when it came to the ghost thing and everything. Because, I mean, if you're introducing both ideas, I think as a filmmaker, you owe it to the audience to at least explore those ideas a little bit deeper to kind of give you a definitive understanding. So, like I said, at the end of the movie, when it came down to when he jumped into her body and, all of a sudden he can move, but before the other dude couldn't even move, you know what I mean? Like, it's just things like that. And I wish they would have just showed a little bit more, but a solid 8 for sure for me.
I give it a 9. Only because, like I said, I really like romance movies like this.
Yeah.
Not just like, like Don't Worry Darling, but like this one, they clearly do care for each other. They I really didn't mind that they sacrifice ghost stuff. Like, it would have been cool to get the explanation, but I'm fine with the end product, really. The only reason it's not a 10 is because I do feel it kind of, I don't want to say drags, but like it really sort of makes you feel like the 2 hours, if that makes sense.
Oh, really?
I think so. I think so. But everything else is really good. You really get the sense of what this movie's trying to bring and stuff, from romance to, the philosophical and bigger questions of afterlife and whatnot. So yeah, solid 9.
I don't think I feel the 2 hours. I think what I felt, because I think I know what you mean, because there was a point in the movie where I felt like, oh, another task. I feel like they had to jump through a lot of hoops in this movie. When it first the wallet, right, and then him trying to speak to Molly but could not, right. Then went to go talk to Otome, figured that one out, but then had to go back to Molly. Molly didn't believe it, had to go back. Otome and them split, you know what I mean? And then go back to Otome because she's about to die. They say, oh, you know, they have their little moment. And then they got to go to the bank to go get the, you know what I mean? Like, it just seemed like a whole bunch of events to lead to the final act. And I think that's what I felt. I don't think I felt the 2-hour runtime because I was really intrigued with every single act. But I think by the bank, I was like, fuck, like there's something else. You know what I mean? Like, they got to do something else. And then that's when the ball, I think after the bank, that's when everything just starts rolling smoothly for me, because that's when it's at the final act, you know, like they're already looking for them. They're looking for the money. Carl's already losing his shit, stuff like that. And so runtime, I didn't really feel it, but I do think that it was because there was a lot of tasks within the movie that needed to be done. And it really just jumped and jumped and jumped. But yeah, do you kind of understand what I'm saying? Yeah. But with that, let's go ahead and move on to our next topic, which is going to be the remake. So Channing Tatum basically came out. I'll go through it a little bit. I'm not going to go through everything. If you guys want to know everything, go ahead and check out our old episode. But I guess Channing Tatum was open to the idea of making a remake of Ghost, of the 1990s Ghost. So I guess the first question that I kind of wanted to ask was, do you believe this movie needs a remake?
No, I don't. This movie does everything perfectly, and like that's why when you, well, I know the questions you're gonna ask me, but like I can't. I just can't picture this being done really well in this day and age. Not in the age of, or received as well. You know what I mean? Not in the age of superheroes.
Yeah. Well, I think you're wrong about the superhero part. I think in the age of superheroes, I think this kind of movie would be loved a little bit more, because I use this example is The Invisible Man. I don't know if you've seen the old one, Hollow Man with Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
But that one, though, it did okay. It didn't do it extravagantly because it was something different. It was leaning more to the super genre kind of thing, and at the time it wasn't well known. But now that like they made a remake of it and it's called The Invisible Man, that movie did so great. Jason Blum like hit it out of the park. Everybody loved it. It was a great movie. And I think that's because of the fact that a lot more people are able to suspend their disbelief, and because of the superhero genre. You know what I'm saying? Me personally, I would say no to the remake on this one. I know that some remakes are necessary because they're like Total Recall. I thought there was one necessary because it was a sci-fi movie, and I think we would want to see all that sci-fi stuff, you know, futurized. Same thing with Alien, same thing with Star Wars, same thing with all those older movies that when it came to remake, it seems cool to be updated. I think the ghost powers in this movie would look cool to be updated. When I was watching the movie, I was like, man, the CGI would be insane, and I'm sure that they would be able to go a little bit more in depth about it. I think the in depth conversations of the ghosts were kind of limited to the time that they were in. You know what I mean? Because they obviously couldn't use CGI to visually show. So why explain it in depth when you can't show it to people? Yeah. So I give them a pass for that one, but their chemistry, I don't think it could be remade. I mean, I know a lot of people try, and I think they can probably do it different, but I don't think it would be kind of hard to do a remake of this movie. I think it's just such a classic.
Yeah, it's tough to think about because I can't even tell you who'd be who at this point. It's so good, and it feels unnecessary to go back and want to redo this movie. So Channing Tatum's crazy for that one. Yeah. No, he's wilding out, especially Channing Tatum to one of all people. You know what I mean?
For him. I guess my next question could be, and I'll see if I can answer it first before you go ahead. Channing Tatum was saying that there was a lot of old stereotypes within the movie that he felt needed to be changed and addressed. And after watching the movie, I kind of got that sense, and I understand where he's coming from. You know, the robber being in the black neighborhood, Whoopi Goldberg being in the black neighborhood. Whoopi Goldberg couldn't go to a bank without getting stared at and judged because, you know, she was black.
Yeah.
It was a lot of like a few things that I understand where Channing Tatum's coming from when he says that there's a few things he would want to update and take out with it in his remake. With that being said, what would you keep from the original that maybe could play a homage to the OG if there's a remake? And what do you think can be changed? What do you think, in your opinion?
Obviously, all those scenes that you just mentioned would have to be changed because, you know, murderers can come from anywhere. You know, they're not just povertish or whatever. I'd try to keep honest if I could. I'd try to keep the score, but I know that mostly it has to change and all that to try and catch those feelings again. But I think it's perfect. You know, if I could, I would go in depth on the ghost thing. Obviously, I'd keep the dark shit. I'd keep like the shadow people. You know what I mean?
To be honest, when I was talking about remake and seeing something updated, I would want to see that updated. I think that shit would be scary.
Yeah, I would keep that. You know, I wouldn't want to tweak the story too much between the two characters,
Molly and
Sam, because it's perfect. It's so good. There's no reason to tweak it. You know, whether they decide to change how heaven works and stuff like that, that's always fine. You know, it's always up to interpretation with that sort of thing. But I think it does really well. So if I could keep that, I would. I think I'd also change the dude on the train. I'd keep him angry, but I'd want to see in depth why. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we know he thinks he fell or he was pushed or whatever, so he's clearly vengeful, you know? But I would want to see and hear more from his story, just because he's a ghost on a train that he fucks with people almost all the time.
Yeah, but why?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that. I think keep is a soundtrack for sure. I like if I don't hear that song that plays with them together, I don't know if it'll even be the same for me. I think the score, like that song, is so iconic to this movie, and I think that if they were to take it out completely, I know they probably got to update it with a newer song, but I would take them putting new songs, and then at the very end, if they play that song between the two of the main characters, that'd be great. And obviously those stereotypes, like you were saying, I would want to change that as well, because it's to be honest, I get it. Maybe it was the reality back in the 90s, but it's not the reality now, right?
Yeah. No.
So I think that's something that needs to be updated for sure. I think one thing that I would keep is change the cops too, because I told you to. Why is it in every single fucking movie cops never do their fucking job? Why don't cops ever fucking do their job? And I thought it was pretty fucked up that, you know, she was coming to him about a white man and they pulled out this whole file on a black woman. You know what I mean? Like, I thought that was pretty fucked up. So they need to change that too. They need to go ahead and fix that, because I think it's movies like that gave cops a bad name for 100%.
Yeah.
And I think that's a bad thing that needs to be rectified too. But to keep, like I said, I think the score needs to stay. And I think that one scene when he was dragging the penny, I want to see that again. Not the way they did it in that one, because like I said, I just couldn't overlook the fact that he just skipped the crack. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't pick it up. But like I think they should keep that penny scene. I really love that scene, and I kind of feel like that what solidified and maybe helped that confusion. Like, is this real? Is it like, is this actually Sam? And I think I would keep that for sure. Before we get to the big question, and I told you to make sure you have your answer ready, because I'm kind of curious. What would you expect from a Channing Tatum remake of Ghost?
Honestly, I'd expect more comedy from him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. I just do. Maybe that's just because I've seen him in all these comedies, and I can't take him too seriously.
Yeah.
Because the only serious movie I've seen him in was The White House Down.
Mm-hmm.
But, I don't know. I expect cheesy comedy like that from him.
Mm-hmm.
Not very funny, not very playful either. Just not as good as comedy as this. When it was time to be funny, it was a little and then, it was time to get serious in the next scene or whatnot. I just expect that from him. I don't expect it to be as as impactful as this, if I'm being for real. I don't know how he plans to do it. If he plans on being Patrick Swayze's character, if he plans on being Sam, he's gonna have to pull it out his ass because I don't know how he's gonna do it.
Yeah. I think I expect that too, and I think I expect some comedy. I think I like his comedy. I think I enjoy his comedy. I don't enjoy the comedy when he's being stupid, like the Bullet Train one where he's like, "Oh, is that a sex thing?" or whatever. I get those ones, but there is times where he can actually be genuinely funny and actually play that right role. I don't see Channing Tatum as the lead role, and I know that in the report it said that he might be creating and starring in the role, but that's gonna lead me to my next question. If you can fan cast your Sam and your Molly for Channing Tatum's, what would they be? Who would they be? If you don't have it, I have mine. So just pass the football this way if you need time to think.
Okay, I'll try. So I was trying to think when you asked me this question the first time off the air, but it's tough to think about. So I want to throw a name out there and just keep an open mind.
Okay.
For Sam, John Krasinski. I think I can see it.
Okay.
I seen him in many roles where he can be that kind of emotional guy.
Okay.
If you've seen The Office, you know what I'm talking about. But
I have not.
He plays that very emotional guy very well.
Okay.
I think I can see that from him being Sam. As for Molly, I don't know. I don't know who I'd pick for Molly. That's a tough one for me. I'd have to think about it because I couldn't think of any actresses that really can bring it for that role.
Yeah,
I'm sure you do. As for Carl, it has to be someone,
I think Carl, and I was thinking about Carl because Carl got me a little stuck, and I was over here thinking what person can I look at and just genuinely just hate him? You know what I mean? Because when you looked at Carl, you didn't hate him at first, but once you knew what happened, you just fucking hated him. You looked at him. So I was thinking that, who can we cast for him that you can hate?
Yeah, you need someone that looks friendly and stuff, but is clearly ulterior motive, and it's tough to think about. You see what I'm saying?
No. I got it.
Okay.
I'm telling you, I got all four, to be honest.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't. I'm just off the top of my head because this is difficult. It was difficult trying to think about it on my own. As for Whoopi Goldberg's character, it would have to be another. Honestly, I think we should keep the black actress, if I'm being for real. So I'd stick with the, what's her name? If not the chick from Black Panther, the mom. Her.
Oh, Angela Bassett.
Angela Bassett. Because I do want someone older like that.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who'd get that. Or if we're going younger, what is her name? I can't remember her name. I had another one in mind for Whoopi Goldberg's character, and it just came to me for Molly. If possible, I know it'll probably never happen because John Krasinski is way older than her, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But Florence Pugh, I think she could be Molly.
That one's different. All right, My picks
Yeah.
for Sam,
Mm.
Austin Butler.
Okay.
I think he would do a pretty good Sam. For Molly, like I said, I think these two are interchangeable. I'm thinking either Sasha Kaye, or Vanessa Hudgens. But Vanessa Hudgens kind of a long one, but I think Sasha Kaye would kind of be first.
Yeah.
The best friend, Zac Efron. I think Zac Efron would play a killer like Carl. Like that should be crazy. And for Whoopi's, I'm thinking either the girl that played, I forgot her name, Moses. She played the Inquisitor in Obi-Wan.
Oh, okay.
Moses Ingram.
Yeah.
Her or what's her name? The one with the mole right here. Forgot her name.
Where's she from?
She came out on a lot of movies. She's really loud. She's always like whatever, and she has like a mole. I forgot her name.
I'm trying to.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank. Let me see. Let me see.
What are you gonna look up? Actress with a mole on her face?
No. I think her name is Timothy. Is it this one? Her. She doesn't have a mole on her face. It's she played Everybody Hates Chris' mother.
Oh.
Like if I wanted to go for an older one, I would say her. For older. But like I think for young, I think Moses Ingram. If we went with a younger actor.
Yeah.
But like I think her as Whoopi Goldberg's character would actually be, she would be funny. She'll bring the comedy. She'll bring that seriousness because she can play the serious roles. Like I think she would be pretty perfect.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, what do you think about that one?
That all sounds really dope. It sounds better than casting Channing Tatum.
Honestly, I was thinking like who can play that Patrick Swayze physique, and after seeing him, after watching the movie and seeing like how chiseled his jaw is and all that stuff, like I was thinking Zac Efron, but I was like, nah, I think Zac Efron would play that villain a little bit better.
Zac Efron, maybe before he got his deformed chin.
Oh yeah.
I could see it, but I mean, not anymore. I think he'd probably be better off being the friend, you know?
Yeah. So I don't know. But
did you catch for the murderer?
The robber?
Yeah.
Nah, I think we can just basically get anybody, to be honest.
Brad Pitt. Just make it Brad Pitt.
No, not make it Brad Pitt. Robber wise, honestly, if I wanted to go robber, Ice Cube's son.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I would put Ice Cube's son for sure. That'd be my fan cast. Channing Tatum, hire me, bro. Hire me. I will do it and just put me in the background. I'll be the bank teller that gets finessed or whatever. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, so you like my fan cast? And yeah, pretty solid. All right, cool. But yeah, I think that's about it. We ran through our whole lineup. The review I gave it an 8. He gives it a 9. Yeah, if you the usual, guys, the usual. If you guys have any movies that you guys want us to review, if there's anything that you feel like we need to talk about and discuss as a topic here on this podcast, Josh, let them know where they could let us know one more time.
If you want to hit us up at any time, we're on Twitter and TikTok at FilmBros Podcast. That's FilmBros !podcast. In case you're having trouble finding us. Our logo looks like that. You can't see it. People listening on Spotify. But moves me on to my next point. We're on Spotify and Apple Podcasts still at FilmBros Podcast, so you can listen to our episodes at any time, at any place. Even with those pesky ads, why don't you just buy premium? If you want to support us in a big way, Zippy Stream. Our links are everywhere in our bios on Twitter at FilmBros Podcast. You can find us on Zippy Stream at FilmBros Podcast. Again, that's FilmBros !podcast.
Yep.
There, it only takes a name and your email. You get to hit us up at any time for news or reviews. You can also listen to our old episodes because, guess what? 0 through 10 our lost files are there. I call them lost, but you can find them on YouTube, which brings us back to my next point. If you have time to check us out on YouTube at FilmBros Podcast, you can just sit down and watch us for a cool hour, talk about movies and all that.
Of course. And if you guys are on YouTube, make sure you hit the like button, the notification bell, and you also subscribe because, you know, we will be coming out with more episodes and you guys do not want to miss them. With that being said, we'll see you guys on the next one.
Talk to you guys later.
Hey.